Hey, everybody, welcome to the Pitch Room Africa. This is an exciting episode. It's exciting for many reasons. The continents today have been really seeing a lot of tech entrepreneurs and a lot of tech conversation, and everybody, everywhere you go, everybody's talking about tech. But the truth is, why not? I mean, there's a global move in technology, and it is evidence that only technology will get us to the place where we need to be. It is clear, it is very crystal clear. So today, we've brought to the Pitch Room Africa someone who's embedded and engulfed with technology and who believes that technology will, in fact, be the catalyst to Africa's success. The CEO and founder of Immersive Tech Africa, Mr. Arome Ibrahim. Welcome to the Pitch Room Africa. But also, let me allow us to get our wonderful co-host, Esther Richa, say hi to us. Hi, Esther. How are you doing?
Hi everyone, how you doing? City, what's popping? How are you doing?
I am well. I am good. I am fine. I mean, it's so good to see you every other day when we pitch or
Yeah,
when we have a conversation on the Pitch Room Africa.
City, you know what is much more exciting that we're doing this more like in video format. I get to now see your face.
Yes.
Usually, the audio thing just has a way of making you lie down, chill. Hey, what's up? Yeah, nobody knows what's going on. But this, I love this. I love the fact that we get to see our faces every other day. It's nice.
Yeah, we get to smile from time to time as well, right? Smile on the call and laugh around, and I think it add a little bit. It adds a little bit of closeness. I don't know whether that's the right.
Yeah, I know it's a human touch. I love the human touch. It does.
But great,
Okay.
fantastic. So let's jump into it. Why immersive technology?
Um, I would say that question is more or less like why the future now, right? For me, it's more right. It's about maybe having a feeling to what's possible, right? Thinking ahead for me basically. And when I got started with tech like 5 years ago, just like you mentioned about attending an event, GITEX event, my experience with VR was attending a meta event in Abuja as at then, and putting on the Oculus Go VR headsets and being teleported to the Taj Mahal in India, right? So imagine somebody being in Nigeria in Abuja, being virtually in India without a passport, without a visa, without taking a flight, right? And I remember telling my friends that, man, this is it. This is the future of experience, and we really need to get started with it, right? And as at then, the cost of the VR headset was a bit high. I think it was close to 200 US dollars. So I remember each and every one of us saving like 50K. Everybody brought 50K, and we bought our first VR headset. And since then, it has just been amazing, doing amazing stuff for businesses and also learning on the go, right? We had some crazy failures, right? I would say we failed on some projects, but we also learned that entrepreneurship it's a long journey that you would endure for a very long time.
So before I let Esther jump in, I'm going to just poke something. So does this mean that nobody should try to leave Nigeria anymore? I mean, this whole issue of that part should stop, because at the end of the day, all we need to do is to be able to afford a VR headset. It could be Oculus, it could be a Samsung one, or whatever it is, and then get lost in, teleport ourselves to Nigeria, to Canada, to America. Because
True,
think about it. Now you can work remotely, right? You can work
true.
remotely for global companies. So if you
Mhm.
what you want is the experience and to escape the environment that you want, why not just plug in and then go to Charge Mahal? What do you think?
Sure, I agree. But the thing is, VR, even though it's virtual, right? I feel the best experience is being there, right? You'll be able to feel the air, feel the warmth of the environment and all. But if you don't have the resources to, right, you could just be traveling every weekend and tell people, hey, I went to Hawaii yesterday in VR, right? I went to South Africa in VR, right? Nobody can argue with you because you can tell them what you did there because you experienced it, right? And they will just be like, okay, good, you did. So it's
So there is
possible.
Okay.
one system that I tested. It's called the Tesla suit. Um,
Yeah.
and you've heard of the Tesla suit.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this is what happened, Esther, when I tested it. In fact, the Tesla suit today is used by advanced, fire
Research.
fire
Yeah.
department and things like that. So it's a virtual reality AR VR suit that you
Mm-hmm.
put on, and then you have the headset, and then it amplifies all of the senses in your body
Yeah.
for you to
Yeah.
actually feel what you're seeing virtually. So
Mm-hmm.
I put on the suit, and then all of a sudden, I was thrown out of a plane, and I could feel like the
Yes.
move on my body. It
Yeah.
was so
Oh
scary.
my word.
Where do you think the
Nice.
what how to what extent do you think this can go?
Possibilities are endless, man. People are going on dates in VR, right? People are getting married in VR, right? It's possibilities are endless. Trust me. I actually went on a date. I went on a date in VR like 2 weeks back, right? Even though we could not touch each other, but it felt amazing being in the same space with the person, right? And for me, I
I
feel being
don't even understand what you're talking about, Arome. What do you mean you went?
I mean,
Oh my
and
god.
so imagine now you have like a
yeah,
suit that actually allows touch to be felt, right? Because like the Tesla suit, when the Tesla suit, you are doing like a warfare simulation, and then
yeah.
you are shot,
You
Esther,
feel
when you're
the
shot, you
you
actually
feel it.
feel like you feel the pain, right? So
Yeah.
imagine in a virtual setting in dates. I don't even want to think about that. In
It's
dates,
scary.
I don't even
and
want
then
to
you
think about that.
So
See,
it
Arome,
feels
you're
like
not doing a great job sharing that experience with us.
you know
We need to have a sneak peek of that dating experience on Pitchroom Africa. Give us that
actually, I'll
snippet. We need.
share the video. It's on my mobile phone. I'll share the video with you guys. But it was
please do,
actually
please do. I think
Please.
we would like to
let
add
me
it to the
let me try
conversation.
and see if I can.
Please do. Yeah, but as you share the video, Esther, you have a question. This is so cool.
Yeah, I'm like, as a founder or founders all over Nigeria, what are your thoughts about extended reality and its importance for the world that we live in today, and as founders too? Customer experience can be improved using all of these things. Just tell us a bit about how the future of this, for a founder. How should a founder think as regards ER?
For me, I feel consumer experience is key, right? For everybody creating a product or service, you need to make sure users are able to engage with what you are selling easily, right? They don't need to stress themselves. If they want to order for something online, they know they can see how it will actually look like, right? Before they buy it. Right? So that's some of the possibilities that augmented reality specifically has to offer. I was trying to work on a research titled "Seeing How We Can." So, for example, imagine you are going to a fashion store and you want to buy a dress, right? You are seeing the dress on the shelf, but you don't know how the dress would look like in different scenarios. So the goal was to have a, a hologram of a person wearing that dress, right, in different shades and different colors. So you can make your choice on maybe you want to go with this blend with this shade, and will this go very well with this shoe or not, right? So it's more or less seeing how we can augment consumer behavior, make sure that they are getting the right experience at the right time, because attention span at the moment is very, very short. And if you cannot get the users quickly and as soon as possible when they're in your space, it will be very difficult. I recently worked on a project with one of the big telco companies in Nigeria. They have the market, they have the users, but they really want to create that unique experience for their enterprise clients, because most of them don't usually have the time to come to the office to maybe work on their SIM cards or subscribe. So they want to create that exclusive experience for them whereby they could use their PC or their mobile phone to be in the metaverse with a representative of that company and get their services solved, their issues solved, basically. And for me, it's just like tourism, right? For AR, VR, how can you create a unique experience for your clients? And I feel founders need to find a way to fuse emerging technologies into what they do You don't need to rebrand it to say you are doing AI or AR VR. You could have a component of what you're offering tailored towards that particular emerging technology.
I was asking how cost effective is integrating ER into products for founders. How affordable is it? The affordability
So,
of this ER thing. Yeah.
so it's AR, augmented reality, right?
I thought it was
So the
extended reality.
Yeah, extended is when you want to mix the entire medium together.
Yeah.
So I think let's go to the first. Let's go first because I was going to ask you that question first when City gave me the floor. Give us the differences. I saw VR, I saw AR, I'm AI, I saw AR, I'm seeing ER. Just take us through these R's. What's up with them?
Okay. Okay, so the first one is virtual reality. So that's VR, right? Virtual is it's
Hmm?
computer generated. It's not real, right? Everything is made up using a computer, and you have to engage with it using a VR headset, right? So with that VR headset, you're in a virtual environment. That is why it is called VR. For AR, it's augmented reality. So it's more or less virtual and your environment. So that's why it's augmented. Right. For example, you could use your mobile phone to project a lion in your sitting room. Right. So that lion is virtual, but it's in your environment, right? So that is why they basically call it AR. And for MR, it's more or less the mixture of both VR and AR, right? So you could use an MR headset. It's a headset that's supposed to give you a VR experience, but it's giving you the mixture of both VR and AR. So that's why it's called MR, mixed reality. So if you want to call the three medium together, it's called XR, extended reality. And we now have a new baby in town called spatial
Oh, I
computing.
get that.
Yeah, yeah. So spatial computing is more or less what we had before as the
I
metaverse.
mean,
And
I have a question. I have a question on that specifically.
okay,
But I would like you to just, you know, go back to the cost implication for this,
yeah.
especially the affordability side of it when it comes to like the founders have affordability, but not only founders affordability, but consumer affordability. Because if a startup is building a system like this out, what hope do they have for consumer adoption in Africa, especially the way the continent is right now from an economic standpoint, but also from a technology exposure standpoint?
So I would say the cost of implementing extended reality can be a lot, depending on what you want to achieve, right? If you're a founder that is building something for edtech education, it's quite easy to deploy because all you just need is just 3D models, your curriculum digitized, and the platform that you want people to engage with it on. What I do advise founders is if you want to adopt emerging tech like augmented and virtual reality, make sure you focus on the devices that your end users use the most. Right. For in Africa, we have people that have everybody has a mobile phone. It's not everybody that has a VR headset. So if you're a founder building for the mobile market and you want to adopt AR VR, you could switch to augmented reality, which can work on mobile phones. But if you want to give that full view experience and you want to adopt VR, it's capital intensive because you need to invest in 3D modeling, invest in environment design, and the hardware. Right, the average VR headset costs between 299 to almost 500 US dollars to acquire.
So 299 to 200 to almost $300 to acquire.
Fine.
The GDP per capital for people in Nigeria alone, right? It's not only in Nigeria but in different parts of the world, right? So it's almost, I don't see how that a mass adoption of that will
Yeah.
happen in the next years. But let's not go into that. Let's talk about some more um primary things. One of arguments have been made that we are building, especially those of us involved in the technology space, are building to compete globally, whilst we're not building to solve fundamental problems at
Mm.
home. So, for example, we are launching biometric driver licenses, but then we have terrible roads, right? We are launching. We are launching. Now we're launching virtual reality, AR, and things like that, extended reality, all of those things. But we have huge issue when it comes to data access, for example, and right, and electricity, because without electricity and power, you can't really go virtual. You can't really plug, or you can't really get in, right? So what are the implications of chasing technology like that without the infrastructural groundwork to actually build it? Are we shooting too far away?
I would not say so. Right? The world is moving so fast. Right? And for example, you have attended GITEX event in Dubai, right? I've also been there too. And some of the technologies on display are next level. Africa has a lot to do. And I feel if we are not part of the conversations, we are not part of the developmental processes, it will be very difficult for us to say we are building this or we are building that. We need to at least be part of it to say, okay, this is what we are trying to achieve in the next 5 to 10 years. And in Africa, I don't see Africa in terms of the infrastructure problems we have at the moment as a serious issue. People have ideas that can work around it. Right. I mentioned how founders that want to maybe adopt VR and AR don't necessarily need to go full VR headset. Make do of what is available. A mobile phone, right? You can create AR experiences and people can engage with it. So I think we should make do with what we have for our own market, and we'll see a very good adoption with it.
Yes, I mean,
In other words, City, he's saying let's start with what we have and start where we are. That
yes,
we
Exactly.
can still start the conversation now
yeah, no,
with all our problems
I,
hanging in our faces.
yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I mean, we've actually interviewed one of our episodes of last year. We interviewed Jumake Dada. So Jumake is an amazing founder who have a furniture business, and she actually introduced augmented
Yeah.
reality in some of the work that she's doing. So you can grab one of like one of the pieces she has, and then you can see how
Furniture.
it then you can see how it fits into your room, into your
Mhm.
living room, even before you go buy it, right? So that is very important. But I think I worked with some other founders, and I want to just hear your opinion on this. That are actually these were Namibian founders building a system that actually connect the Namibian tourist attraction through augmented reality, AR, VR, and even mixed reality. What is the impact of that technology in the tourism space?
It's immense. I feel for me, if it's not education, healthcare, art and culture and tourism, I feel the impact will not be that felt. Right. I remember you just shared an experience with the Namibian space, if I'm correct. I have friends in Kenya, in Botswana that are investing heavily in VR for tourism, and the impact has been amazing. I remember when I watched the VR experience of a particular park in Botswana, right? And it was as if I was with the animals there, right? With the elephants there, and it was captured in real time. So for me, emerging technologies is not just nice to stay, but how can we deploy it in our own environment and space that is quite unique, right? If you go to the States and you say you're building VR for tourism, people will not be excited. But if you're saying you're building VR for tourism in Africa, most people don't even know where Namibia is or Botswana is, right? So having an experience of 360 VR experience of those locations will really be amazing. And it can be a revenue earner also for the governmental institutions that might want to invest in it.
What what is Esther? I know you have a lot of questions, so I'm going to ask this final question and then pause for you to come in. I mean, what you mentioned three sectors, right? So I've interacted with augmented reality, artificial virtual reality, and some form of mixed reality itself. Um, but today, where you're sitting, you mentioned art and culture, which connotes tourism. You mentioned
Mhm.
education and healthcare. Within
Yeah,
these three, because I have seen the impact of this in healthcare. So, for example, it actually enhances virtual care and how we
yeah,
actually interact with, because I could potentially be somewhere in Lagos and be treated by a doctor in Germany. In fact, we've heard of stories, even though not validated, of stories wherein operations, medical operations, surgical operations, was actually carried out using the support of AI and AR and VR, which I think, if it's actually happened, was simply amazing. How prepared are these three sectors to actually have the full adoption of this technology? And how soon can we get to a position where we can actually have them going live, helping people experience Africa, but also getting the care that they need, but also improving education? How prepared is the continent?
Like I said earlier, right, and just like what Esther said, we are making do with what we have at our own pace, right? And I'm excited that, really, and I'm excited that there are some amazing stories of immense deployments of these technologies in Africa that people don't know about. Let me give you a scenario. There's somebody that is working on a project in Cameroon. So he partnered with medical doctors to undertake a digitalization of some key medical operations, surgical operations in VR. So these are resources that maybe medical school students that don't have hands-on experience to undertake surgical operations have access to these recordings and can be immersed in it in VR and understand what needs to be done before they go to the clinical trials, right? Also, there's a friend of mine in Nigeria, in Lagos, if I'm correct. So what he did with VR was he partnered with some old seniors home, right? So homes that accommodate old people, and he noticed that if you go to an old seniors home, it's really boring, right? Because everybody's just sitting down staring, and there's no excitement, and most of them are more or less trying to relive their youth, right? And those experiences that they had during their younger period. And what he did was to go back in time and look for some nice videos, nice contents way back in the 80s, 70s, and wrapped it around in a virtual reality experience. And I think I'll share the pictures with you guys. So what he did was he created a VR experience and visited like close to 5 to 10 old seniors home. So imagine somebody in their 80s, 90s wearing a VR headset and being excited and dancing because they can listen to songs in the 80s, engage with videos in the 80s, and more or less become happy, right? And technology is just not about a fancy headset. It's about how can we Africans use it at our own levels to make impact. And in terms of education, I'm also excited to say that um, the Universal Basic Education Commission in Abuja, we recently launched a digital resource center here in the capital city, and they have like a full-fledged VR lab, right, whereby they are empowering teachers to learn about how they can use some of these technologies to teach. This is already like being adopted widely in the States and in Europe, but in Africa, it's a slow and gradual process. And I feel with time, if the teachers are empowering the students, they'll have ideas to build amazing experiences that will be worthy of maybe potential investment in the future.
So, Siri, I hope that satisfies your question, right? Because I'm taking over from here, Siri. Are you good?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have too many things to talk about this, but I'll let you go.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your work at Immersive Tech. I know Immersive Tech is an NGO. How is Immersive Tech surviving as an NGO? First things first, who's bankrolling you, right? I want you to talk about that, and also you were listed right in 2019. Can you remember the future list? Tell us about who's bankrolling you. That's all. Just let us know who is bankrolling you, because and that's my first question. Then I'll delve
Yeah.
into women and tech, because it's very important too to see how the inclusion for women in this whole space. So yeah.
In terms of bankrolling, right, we're actually open to support and needed. But like I usually say, right, you just need to start. I think the Pitch Room Africa when you guys started off, it was just you guys doing what you love doing, right? You enjoy doing what you love doing, and that is how we got started, right? Way back in 2021, during the pandemic, we noticed that there were not a lot of conversations around emerging technologies in Africa, and I really wanted to change that, right? With the people that I know, the network that I have access to, I just say, why not we create like a movement whereby we could have monthly conversations whereby I invite people to come and share what they are doing with VR and AR. And since then, it just grew into an initiative to make impact. And we are also blessed to have some amazing advisory board members that are very supportive. Right, so they indirectly support the organization with access to their networks, financial resources when needed, hardware also. Some of them also donate some of their hardwares to the initiative. And we also have an amazing team, right? There's nothing as important as having a team that is committed to the goal and also willing to teach and support other people that want to get started. And so that's how we have been Banco so far, right? And in terms of the future list, if I'm correct, okay, it's just if you enjoy doing what you do, the recognition, the support will come along. But when you stop, you will not necessarily see it, right? And for me, it's just being consistent,
True.
doing what I love, making sure that, for example, let me share an experience of somebody that was part of our program. So she got started with XR like 3 years ago, and now she works with PwC in Lagos as an XR developer, right? And I remember her reaching out to me and saying, Arome, I have an issue with my Unity software. Can you just support me? Blah, blah, blah. So imagine I told her I'm quite busy, no, 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 blah, blah, blah. I don't think she'll be where she is right now because she would not have continued her journey with VR and AR. So our inspiration basically is making sure we can inspire people to get started. Right? You don't need to start big, but just start something and be consistent.
Yeah, so you inspire, you support, right? You inspire and support. So do you have like an academy where you train women, girls, people who are interested in this, and you have like a mapped out journey for them? Because I don't think I've seen where I am. I've not seen any training center or a community where these things happen. So do you have like a pathway that people who are interested in this can start and grow? Do you have that at Immersive
So
Tech?
yes, we do. We have a program dedicated towards that. It's called the XR Innovation Launchpad. So it's a 10 weeks training program whereby anybody that wants to learn about VR and AR, even though you don't know how to design on Canva, right? As long as you are passionate about the technology, we'll teach you from the ground up every Saturdays for 2 to 3 hours with our mentors virtually. But for this year's edition, we want to have a physical component to it because we understand that being in the same space with creators is amazing. But basically, it's a 10 weeks program. You get to learn about the basics of VR and AR. And at the end, we have like a demo day whereby you come and showcase what you have built, what are your maybe aspirations as regards where you want to continue with. Maybe if you have any organizations you are targeting, you could check our network or our advisory board to connect us with anybody there. Right. So, but basically, we train people, and we're also very big on seeing how we can empower more ladies. For the last edition we had, we made sure that at least 50% of those that will attend are ladies, and we're very excited to see a lot of ladies turning up. Not just ladies, but girls. We had two girls that came. One came with her mom, and she did amazing. Like she was able to create something that was very unique, and I was very excited to see that young girls are really excited about technologies and they are trying as much as possible to break that barrier.
So how many? How
Yeah, so
many?
how much is it? CD?
For the program,
CD?
No, no,
How
no, no,
much is
sorry.
it? Yeah, how much is it to be part of this?
it's actually free. It's free.
Oh, okay. So it's free. So CD, this is where you do what you did to our guest last week now.
I mean, that's what I was
He's
going to
going to
ask.
give us access now.
Like
So
how
over
many?
to you now.
How
Make sure he does that for our
many?
community.
How many space are you going to give to our members of our community to join this virtual event?
Uh, so for this year's edition, we're targeting 20 people. It's called the Creative Edition. So for those that are into photography, videography, as long as you're creative and you want to get started, you really want to empower them. We can give your community maybe at least three slots because the rest are already being tied up as we speak. But we can give your community maybe max three.
We can start. We can
Uh,
start
let,
with that.
let's, let's, let's make it five. Five is a great
I was
number.
going to say. I was going to say five, but Siri will not agree. Three is not balanced. Five
Yeah,
looks a bit
Okay.
balanced.
let's make it five. Five is more exciting.
Five is
And
the perfect number.
it will be nice if those five had you guys among two, maybe you and Esther being a part of it.
Siri, do
Yes,
you
yes.
want to do anything in extended reality? Let's try
Oh,
it now. Who
yes, I will.
knows?
Everything that I can, of course. I will do everything that I can. So, because Esther handles
Okay,
everything of our partnership, so Esther will definitely do a follow up on that. So we can put
I
out.
will.
What we'll try to do, we'll try to put out, a co-branded call off application, or whatever, so we can vet the numbers, the three from our side that we'll send to you. But
That's fine.
let me ask a burning question that always that I've had. You attempted touching on this earlier on, but I told you not to go into it because um, so you've mentioned a few times about the work that is being done and the interaction with technology within the continent. We are currently still, as a continent, sadly, we are still trying to look at the mass adoption of AR and VR in still in the continent. A lot of people that, if including people that are going to be listening to this podcast, this might be the first time they are ever hearing about this. But then we are in the area of spatial computing. Um, what is your take on the Apple Vision Pro? And then think about that and hold that in one hand, and then think about where we are in our journey as a continent, and how long will it take us to get there.
When you just ended that question, I was like, the state just launched Apple Vision Pro when we already have Nigerians that are seeing the future already. So why do we need the Vision Pro? And I can go to Edo State and I can see what's happening, what might happen in the next 10 to 20 years. It's in real time.
I know what you
So what I'm
mean.
yeah, it's what I'm saying. It's the truth, right? What I'm saying is Africa has that talent already. We have that technology, but not not
Will will that technology be allowed to be in the public?
no really. You can do it in real time. Like you can see somebody in London in your space in real time. If you
Siri, why are you laughing? Are you laughing in disbelief? Why are you laughing? I
No,
want to know why you're
I'm
laughing.
not laughing in disbelief, but I'm just, I
you
know,
understand.
I'm just thinking, how, how will that advancement in technology from our side be accepted as a universal breakthrough for
Tell us,
computing?
Arome.
No, what I'm
Mhm.
basically saying is right. If you check the origins of some of these technologies, Africa has it already, but not as refined. Right? We have traditionalists that can envision and see stuff in real time in their own environment without the need of any infrastructure. Right? So, but the what Apple is doing is amazing. There's no doubt about that. The Vision Pro it's unique, it's special. I was talking to my friend before the call, and I was like, it's a nice device, but how many people can afford it, right? And I remember going on LinkedIn, and I noticed it's just a certain people in a certain network that bought it, right? Those that are C-level executives, maybe those that are working for some of the top four companies. They have the resources to buy those hardware in mass and use for their own projects. But in Africa, it's a different ballgame. And that's why I usually say is if we want to really adopt some of these technologies, let's start from where we are. I had a friend that I had a call with yesterday. He's putting together a team to build one of the first MR headsets in Africa, right? So not really built in Africa, but what's the word? Compiled in Africa, right? The tech might be sourced, the resources might be sourced locally, but the tech might not be available at the moment. And I feel with time, right, we will have our own African Vision Pro, and it will be an exciting experience.
But how long will it take us to get there? I mean, apart from what we currently have from a traditional
CD,
perspective.
he said with time. CD, he said with time. With
No, but
time.
like because time is a factor, right? By the time, how long will it take us in time to get there, and where would the world have progressed to?
Exactly. Exactly. I get your
So,
point.
so that's the question I'm
No,
asking.
I get your points, right? If Africa is trying to reach a certain level, the needle shifts, right? Maybe we're trying to get to where the Vision Pro is. It will be at
And
another
it's
level.
gone.
But what
Yeah.
can we do? See, what can we do? We,
I mean,
we
there's a lot of things that I think we should do, and part of those things is actually supporting individuals like you to be able to provide the education firstly at scale,
like,
and being
yeah,
able to motivate that from a funding perspective, also a supporting perspective to actually build some of these things.
yeah,
I'd like to ask. So, um, because sometimes it's not even about starting your own company or your own AR, VR, or augmented reality or mixed reality company or whatever it is. Sometimes it's about building the required skill set so you can get to work remotely for some of these companies globally. How do you see that? How viable of a career path within the African continent is that today?
I would say it's viable, but we do not have the demand for it on the continent, right? Demand from maybe enterprise-based clients and top companies, right? What most of them usually do is if they have a project, they usually outsource it, which is quite bad, right? But why they do that is because some of the talents on the continent are not yet refined to reach that stage of deploying such projects. And that's what we are trying to do right at Immersive Tech Africa is to make sure we can train these guys to a certain level, right, whereby we can also support their journey long term and pair them up with maybe industry experts that are doing amazing stuff that can guide them also and making sure they are
Hmm.
open or available to projects that are quite small but can help them build their portfolio to land very big projects. But I would say the talent pipeline for XR talent on the continent is quite small. It's very very small that you could maybe know that it's just one person that is doing XR in maybe Senegal or maybe Ethiopia. Like it's so specific that if I want to recommend somebody for XR in any of these regions, I just have maybe one or two people, right? Because I know they are very good. But how can we have more than one or two people in the next 5 to 10 years? And basically, it's just bent down on upskilling these talents, right? Trust me, to build for XR is difficult because if you don't have the right hardware, you cannot test what you're building. And having more communities like what we're trying to do would make sure those hardware are accessible to these creators and they can also build at their own pace. And I think that's how basically the early stage of fintech and web development in Africa was started through communities. And now it's very big, and we have founders building fintech every morning and cashing out the
Wow. CD, I just been thinking while he was speaking. Imagine that we have now I'm starting with Nigeria because that's where he's from. Imagine that we have one Arome in every state in Nigeria with a large community. I mean, as small as that sounds, or as little as that
Mhm.
sounds, that's a great start. Because I know where he is currently, if he can build a community locally, there's something as good as having centers in Nigeria where these things can be not just taught virtually but experienced. Because I mean, how can you teach experience without experiencing this experience, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the beauty about the conversation and the things he shared so far. So I love what you contributed, City. He needs a lot of support beyond his current bankrolling support. He needs support from us. We're doing what we can, and I'm very sure that with the future in mind, there are lots of ways that extended reality can become very, very vital in the ecosystem. So much that people will be willing to invest. People will be looking for XR professionals to invest in, right? Because they've seen the usefulness. Right now it's coming out like nobody really knows its usefulness. You talk about dating, imagine dating can sell in Nigeria, in Africa. You mean I can meet some it will sell, right? But my point is, keep doing the work you're doing, Arome. We're proud of what you're doing and how you're building layer upon layer. These steps are very important from the foundation. When that becomes a thing, you're already the thing. So congratulations and keep building. Sidi, over to you as we wrap up. I know you have one final question.
Yes, no, I always do have one final question all the time, but I think just so as a disclaimer, Aramen. So I'm very I've been crying I've been crying to my wife that I need to get the Apple Vision Pro. So I'm still negotiating for that to happen, right? Because I
Okay.
always to negotiate with her when I want to make some of these decisions. So I'm a gadgets guy, so I know all of about the AR, the VR, and all of those things. But most of the knowledge that I have is because it's cool. It's because it presents a new way to experience things. But let me bring it down to the next question. For people in Africa, um, a lot of the reason why a lot of people are getting into tech, in fact, some of the reason why myself and people like you are trying to put people to get, well, not put people to get people interested into tech, is the endless opportunity, both from a social perspective, but also from an economic perspective, right? The reason why a lot of people are getting into fintech now because we've seen a lot of people cash out. So there
Yeah.
are evidence of the economic benefits of this to people. With someone listening to us having a conversation who have been sold on the coolness of this,
Mhm.
you sell to them the economic benefits of them joining your bootcamp and learning to become an AR, VR, MR, or even extended reality um, expert.
Okay. I would start with a question I asked some mentees I was mentoring in the software development program. I was like, "Why are you getting into tech? What's your why?" Right? And most of them, one guy said he wants to make money. Like his why was to make money. And I was like, if your why is to make money, man, you're gonna get bored very, very fast. Because when the money is not there, what will you be doing? Right? So first thing I would say for anybody that wants to get started, looking at the economic benefits, is first of all understand your why. Why are you doing this? Why are you getting into this? What's the long-term benefits to pursue this career? Like I shared earlier about the lady in Lagos that currently works with PwC. Her why basically was she wanted to add a voice in terms of having more females in XR. She wants to be that difference, be that voice in that space, and she's doing that at the moment. Right? And she's really breaking that ceiling by being one of the maybe best female XR content developers in Nigeria. Um, so for me, I feel if you're looking at the economic perspective, right, try as much as possible to make sure you are grounded on your values and your core. And for our training, it's usually free, but we'll make sure you have more or less like a huge dedication to learn the technology. And you can be earning as much as I think we had one of our trainers that was contracted to train people in Eastern Africa. They were earning close to $5,000 per month just to train people in VR and AR, right? Because the talent is very rare to find. So if you can get started as early as possible, trust me, it's not just I'm not just saying it, but trust me, you would earn at least very good amount in the
So
space.
your job opportunities are already there. It's just
They
about
are, yeah.
talent. Great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's how we come to an end of today's conversation of the Pitch Room Africa. We've been speaking with no other person but the founder and CEO of Immersive Tech Africa. We've been talking about the cool things, really, really cool things, including how he went on a date a few weeks ago on what an amazing, 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 amazing thing could have happened to him. And I don't know whether you know, I, I am still in awe of how that feels because I've felt I've handled the suit. So it's quite amazing. But also he's also shared with us the opportunities that lies with that. Until next time, I've been your host here at the Pitch Room Africa, and I've been joined by the wonderful Esther Riches as always. Esther, any final words?
City. I'll just say International Women's Day is it's International Women's Day. I just want to encourage every woman out there who is feeling like you know, she needs to do more, she needs to be more. You should apply for this opportunity. Who knows? You could actually do more. So I mean, those will be my final words for today's CD.
Exactly. Be more,
Thank you.
do more, but also join the Immersive Tech Africa group and become an AR, VR, MR, or extended reality expert. Until next
All
time,
the hours. Yeah.
have a wonderful